Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are back in taking our very first look at the new Tier 8 Premium Italian battleship, the Marco Polo. Now, this is one half of the campaign rewards. You guys know the deal by now. We did the Marlborough, and now we're going to do the Marco Polo. The reason I wanted to do this is so that I give you guys the best idea of which ship I would prefer to take, given my, battleship playing ability and what I would prefer. So, with that being said, let's look at our commander. We're running Angelo Iacchino. I do apologize if that's not how it's pronounced, but we are also running Azurlane Scharnhorst and Palo de Revel as our inspirations. Flammable Cannoneer, Gyrating Drill Bits, Marksmanship, and Smoke on the Water, with the Testudo legendary perk, which gives us an extra repair party, which comes in clutch in this ship for sure. Okay? We did not build this thing for secondaries because the secondaries aren't particularly good, and they don't fire SAP for reasons nobody knows. But that's okay because the main guns fire SAP, which you will probably never find a use for because, honestly, there's no situation where the SAP is useful where the AAP or the HE wouldn't be better. Let me get into that in a little bit. But we're not even going to use SAP in this game that you're about to watch. Okay? We're running Aiming Systems Mod 1. We're running Steering Gears Mod 2. We're running Concealment System Mod, and we're running Main Battery Mod 3. For loadout, obviously we have the semi-armor piercing. We have 5 heals because of the extra heal that you get. Plus we're running exhaust smoke generator because obviously it's the only thing on here. And then spotter plane so that while you're running exhaust smoke, you can get the most out of your dispersion and potentially spot for yourself if necessary. Okay? For the flag, we're running the Italian Unity flag because it kind of looks like a Spartan helmet if you don't realize that it's a Centurion helmet from the Roman times. Okay? We're running the Type 9 camo that comes with the ship, so that's at least a good thing. Survivability, 69,100 hit points with a 25% torpedo damage reduction, so a little bit lower hit points than you'd expect, but it's got decent armor, so you can kind of negate that. Artillery, you get 9 406mm 50 caliber model 1940s. So the good news is they're 406mm, which means you do now not get bullied by cruisers like you did in the Roma or the Vittorio Veneto. So keep that in mind. It does have the ability to overmatch 27mm of bow armor, which comes in real handy. We'll showcase that in this video as well. Firing range is 18.1 with this build. You could go more, but I decided to get the extra heal, or the smoke on the water, I think. Yeah, the smoke on the water perk, which allows us to stay hidden a little bit longer. So there's that. AP or 180 degree turn or reload is 30 seconds with this build because we're running Palo de Revel as a inspiration. Otherwise, it's like 31.8 seconds. It's awful. For 406mm guns at tier 8, that's terrible. AP shell maximum damage is 14,355 with an SAP shell that fires with a maximum damage of 14,100. Now, the thing to remember about SAP is the fact that it's actually it's slightly improved HE with the exception that it can't set fires, right? So where is SAP useful? SAP is useful against like Alaska, Stalingrad, those sort of ships. But again, I don't think there's really any use for SAP where AP wouldn't do better or HE wouldn't do better. HE is going to hit just as hard in terms of the average damage that you get per salvo, and on top of that, it's going to have the ability to set fires. So personally, I think the SAP in this game is a gimmick that's not worth it in my opinion. So I will likely be switching over to HE shells for this. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Secondaries, you get 90mm 50 caliber auto 1939s. You get 24 of those, reaching out to 5.2 kilometers, reloading in just 4 seconds, firing HE with a maximum shell damage of 1,300 and a 5% chance to set fires. And the second secondaries, we have 152mm 55 caliber auto 1936s. You get 24 of those, reaching out to 5.2 kilometers, reloading in 12 seconds, firing HE with a maximum damage of 2100 and a 7% chance of fire. I apologize if I sound a little off or if I sniffle, guys. I've been sick for the last few days, and it is kicking my butt, so I do apologize. 20mm 70 caliber Beretta 1941s. You get, God help me, 16 times 6 Spartan would be 32 times 3. So that would be 68 or 66. 66 of them doing 99 damage per second, reaching out to just 2 kilometers. Like, that's awful. 37mm 54 caliber Beretta 1932s. You get 20 of those doing 116 damage per second, reaching out to just 3.5. So a little bit of medium range. And then the 90mm 50 caliber Auto 1939s. You get 24 of doing 162 damage per second, reaching out to just 4 kilometers. So no real standoff AA. And then even if they do get inside your AA is not that great. It's not bad, but it's not great. Maneuverability, maximum speed, 28.8 knots is pretty nice. Turning circle is 860 meters, and a rudder shift with this build is 14.2. That's pretty bad considering the fact that we run steering gears on this. I would have expected it to be down at around the 12 second mark or somewhere in that neighborhood. It's not. So it's a pretty bad rudder shift for a battleship. Keep in mind something like an Iowa class or something like that. It's got a better turning radius than an Iowa, but not quite in terms of, it's got basically the same rudder shift. Okay, concealment. Detectability by sea is 13.5. Detectability by air is 11.3. Guaranteed detectability is always 2, and the detectability while firing in smoke is 15.1. Armor. This thing does have decent armor. It's not amazing. It's not terrible. It's just, you know, kind of, it exists. So at the bow, 32 millimeters, nothing unusual there. Yami, Musashi go straight through like butter and ruin your day. Everything else, no problem. Okay. You do have a turtleback armor configuration, though it's not particularly effective, especially at closer ranges where somebody can go through your bow or stern side plating. You can see the Citadel is very grabbable. If we get rid of that, you can see the size of the Citadel there. But for the most part, the Citadel's not that bad. You can get away with quite a bit, though you do take a lot of penetration damage from pretty much everything that gets a chance. But you can see here the little bit of turtleback that you do have. It's not particularly amazing. If you're turning whatsoever, you're gonna miss that turtleback. You're gonna go straight into the Citadel. If you go through the bow or stern side plating, you can potentially Citadel this as well because it's got a nice wide chunk of the Citadel. Just begging for it. So keep that in mind. Overview. Big guns. This ship is armed with high caliber main battery guns. I wouldn't say that. They're 406 millimeters. Not really high caliber at tier 8, but whatever. Superior AP damage, above average AP shell damage. Again, I don't think so. I think it's pretty average for 16-inch guns. Fast, above average maximum movement speed. If you weren't running, you know, gyrating drill bits, maybe, but we are running gyrating drill bits, I believe. So 28.8 knots, a little bit faster than you know, other ships, but not that fast. Marco Polo, a variant of a battleship that was designed in Italy in the mid-1930s, a further development of the Vittorio Veneto class ships with 406mm guns, designed in 1936, never built. Other than that, I mean, looks-wise, it looks okay. I don't hate it. It's a decent performing battleship. It doesn't blow me away. So far, I've not had amazing games in this. I've had one good game. So personally, if it comes down to just that, I would prefer the Marlborough because I feel like it's just got better things going for it. It's got the super heals. It's got the HE that just slaps and sets a million fires. This thing is kind of a it's got a nice little trick in the smoke screen, the rolling smoke. But other than that, I think the SAP is blown out of proportion. I don't think it's actually particularly useful. I think you'd do better off using the HE to set fires in certain situations rather than using SAP. And then for the AP is pretty decent. And this does at least get to be a little bit more accurate. It's still pretty troll, you know, given the fact that this is a full dispersion build. It's pretty troll, but overall it's not bad. So, with that being said, let's get to the gameplay. Alrighty, so we're going to be on Crash Zone, and we are in the Marco Polo. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys. this match was actually kind of fun. But the Marco Polo itself is kind of meh. I personally, if I had to choose between the two, I'm definitely going to go Marlborough. That's my personal preference. This thing does have some good going for it. That smoke is nice. The dispersion build on this thing makes the guns usable. They're not completely troll all the time, though they do troll you quite a bit. It's definitely probably my favorite Italian battleship so far. So take that with what you want. It's definitely better than the Veneto. It's better than the Roma. But it does lack the SAP secondaries for some reason that nobody can actually tell me why. I don't understand why Wargaming has an issue with the Italians. Like, for real. Somebody's going to have to explain that to me one of these days. Why is it that our game developers for World of Warships Legends just do not like the Italians? Because they have completely, every step of the way, tried to nerf the Italians into oblivion. From the get-go. Like, oh, they don't get smoke. Okay, we'll give them smoke. Oh, we're not going to give them SAP. Okay, we'll give the premiums SAP. Oh, we're not going to, you know, it's just all across the board. They're doing everything in their power. Hell, when the freaking line started, we didn't even have a commander. You guys remember that? Like, they had one commander for the battleship line, and that was a tank build. Like, you're not allowed to use the ship outside of freaking 5 kilometers because you can't do anything. Like, it's frustrating. I don't understand why they do that. But that being said, this is actually kind of an okay ship. I don't hate it. It does have decent maneuverability. I'm used to playing like, you know, Iowa, Vladdy, GK, Yami, all these ships that tend to struggle with turning. So this thing doesn't feel that bad. Now, that being said, again, I don't see any situation where if I fire SAP, I'm better off. Like, every situation, I'm either better shooting AP or HE. So I don't understand why SAP is that big of a deal. It doesn't seem to do crap. You fire it at battleships, it tends to shatter. You fire it at cruisers, you should have been firing AP. And we're going to showcase the AP against a Wichita in the very near future. But it's just one of those things where I don't understand why it was so like, oh, it's going to be the greatest thing ever. It's so OP. We're not allowed to bring it into the game. Really? I mean, sure, it'll slap, but more often than not, I mean, if you're firing SAP the entire time, you're doing yourself a disservice. And you really only need the SAP for those situations where people are giving you a little bit of an angle. And like I said, any battleship's generally going to shatter the SAP, and the SAP doesn't cause fires. So, like, it's not like HE where if you shatter the shells, you still have a fire chance. But here, we come around the corner. Wichita is bow into us. We overmatch the 27mm bow of the Wichita. We fire the guns, and we citadel him right through the front and take all of his health, except we leave him with just enough to cause us problems. Well, not necessarily cause us problems, but cause our destroyer problems. But you can see their destroyer here spotted. And this is where we're going to show some of the troll of the guns. So I want to be able to get the double strike here. So I want to shoot one gun at the Fletcher and one gun at the Wichita. So here I switch to the Wichita before he gets behind the island. I switch back to the Fletcher. I take a shot over there. And somehow we managed to miss both of them. Or actually, I did hit the Wichita for 2 overpins, but I managed to miss the Fletcher somehow. Now, the Neptune starts shooting at me from the middle of the map. Rather than chasing the Fletcher on the outside of the island and getting torped, we just turn to the inside of the island. Wichita decides to reverse out in front of us for reasons I cannot, for the life of me, figure out, but whatever. He wants to do it. We fire one gun into, get the Citadel, no problem. And then we're going to go ahead and damage con and turn in to avoid any potential torpedoes from the Fletcher. But yeah, like I said, these guns, they're accurate enough. They're not terrible. It's just they're not amazing either. They're just kind of middle of the road. They don't really give you a lot of good, but they don't really troll you to death either. So they're at least usable. better than I can say for the Roma, which I have a love-hate relationship with. That ship just irritates the crap out of me. It's so annoying. Now here, I use the smoke screen to turn all the way back out to keep me from getting spotted by their Marco Polo, and that allows me to get a drop on this Hipper, who is coming towards me. We take the shot. We are broadside to their Neptune right now, and their Hipper, so both of these guys can be able to take shots at me. Hipper turns back in and manages to avoid all of our shells, and one shell manages to hit the belt armor and do nothing. So, one of the downsides of this thing is, you know, maybe you want to run like Von Essen to give it a little bit better pin angles. I don't think it's necessary with 16-inch guns, but if you had one thing that you might say that you could potentially do to make this thing better, that would be a thought. Like I said, the smoke screens are great. I love these. I'm not going to lie. It's just by far my favorite thing about the Italian battleship so far is being able to drop a smoke, turn out, get away from a bad situation, or use it to come around an island, get a drop on somebody who's spotted. But you can see Hipper there. Turns out all of our shells managed to miss except one. That was mainly my aim. But Neptune back here is coming around. We're going to have a potential chance to shoot him. But, I mean, these things really do suffer from reload. Like, I think if you don't run Palo de Revel, your reload's like 31.8 or something like that. It's pretty bad. To put that in perspective, in Iowa, tier freaking 7 has a 30-second reload base, I believe. But we take a shot through the bow of the Neptune, only managed to hit 2 shells. One shell manages to break a gun, so we didn't manage to do much in the way of damage. And because of the long reload, we're going to drop spot here on him. He goes dark into the smoke and gets away. Marco Polo has a smoke screen going. He must have fired his guns because he is still spotted, so we take a shot at him. We've got a pretty solid looking angle on him, so I'm looking forward to this shot, and we hit him pretty solid and get about 9,000 damage. So, you'll love to see it. Again, not the best shot in the world, but not bad either. Hipper is off our bow. He's charging a battleship, which is never ideal. Anytime you're in a battleship and you got a Hipper or a Prinz Eugen charging you at close range, you're pretty much dead. If you're in any sort of close range situation. But we take a shot to try to help our guy out. We catch him, and we kill him. Unfortunately, he got his torpedoes away and manages to kill our Marco Polo. Now, Neptune's got a shot at us, so instead of turning back towards it where the Marco Polo could potentially blap us, we turn away, and that allows us to angle against the Neptune and the Marco Polo and keep ourselves in relatively decent shape. So, limit who can do the most amount of damage to you. Now, as we turn out here, eventually the Neptune's going to drop behind the island. Now, we get a shot into the superstructure of the Marco, do a decent amount of damage. He looks like he may be about to take some torpedoes here. And I say that, it actually may have just missed him with all of them. But, nope, never mind. I used my smoke screen to think about potentially turning back in, and that's when he gets torped, unfortunately. But, Neptune's on the backside of the island. We have no shot. We have 76,000 damage at this point. And what I don't realize is that there is an entire division of Republiques. So 3 Republiques left. And fortunately, these guys don't play particularly well here at the end. They kind of go all wonky. But we're going to get some good chunks into the side of the Repub. Notice we didn't get spotted there. Repub is outside of our 15.1 smoke firing penalty. So we can fire from the smoke and not get detected, which is huge. That allows us to get the drop. You can see Neptune is kind of in the way, but he decides to reverse. So he gets out of the way. And this is when I'm like, okay, we have 3 freaking Repubs. This is going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem because Repub is one of my favorite battleships at the tier, for sure. It's up there, Musashi, Repub, and Temeraire. All 3 of them. Very, very nasty at tier 8. But if you're just sailing around broadside to everything in a Repub, you're going to have a bad time. Because even I can pin you. Okay? So we get angled here, and you can see the armor of this thing, not bad. I mean, Repub has really, really nasty armor piercing. So anytime that we bounce and shatter Repub shells, we're doing pretty well. So that I will say, this thing does have the armor needed to keep you alive as long as you're not a complete doofus. Just don't get caught broadside, and don't get caught over-angling at close range. I do apologize, guys. My nose is so stuffed up right now. I'm still sick. I know I said that at the beginning of the intro, but seriously. If you guys didn't know, I record the intro and the video separate, so that's why. But here you can see I'm trying to like figure out what we need to do. I'm capturing the base. I don't want to go out and get myself shot and reset, so I want to capture the base here. I want to guarantee the wins. We have a triple division of repubs, very nasty, all of which could be running will to rebuild, most likely are running will to rebuild, so we don't want to put ourselves in a position where they can just sit there and just annihilate us, right? But we get the cap, that secures the lead in points. Now these guys have to try to take the lead in points from us. And now as I angle away, I can just kite from here on out. And that's going to keep us alive for a lot longer. Now here, we've got the look. We aim high, superstructure, and upper side plating. We get a very nasty salvo there. And then we turn out. We take minimal damage back. We took like 6,000 damage back. So, giving like 13 and taking 6, I'll take that all day, any day. But, like I mentioned, these guys do potentially have the potential to run will to rebuild. And if they are all close enough to one another, which they potentially are, we're going to have a hard time taking them out. So you can see I'm trying to focus these guys down. Go on superstructure here, potentially a gun, and we get a nice chunk into the superstructure. The torpedoes are just not anywhere near the guy that I was hoping they were. And our other battleship isn't quite in a position yet to help us here. So we go ahead and use our smoke screen because I want to be able to turn. And I figure, you know, once we smoke up, we should disappear. We had the initial, god dang it, the initial smoke firing penalty. These guys are obviously close enough, but then this guy's broadside because he just had to dodge torps. So we cannot turn that down. That's an easy chunk of damage. But we only hit 3 shells there, full broadside at 8 kilometers, and we only hit 3 whole shells. Like that's insanity. Like, we need those shells to hit. And that's why I prefer the American battleships. It isn't because, you know, I'm American. It's because of when I get those shots, I need those shots to hit. And here, the smoke, once again, coming in clutch for us. As it's starting to dissipate, we're going to get another shot here. I mean, this guy's over-angled, so I got to take that shot. He turns in at the last second, but we get him into the upper side plating and the superstructure. And we're staying angled 10 seconds. We get another heal. And we have one more heal after that, potentially. But you can see Repub that's closest to our battleship. Our battleship is literally full health. He gets a good shot into him. I'm thinking, okay, well, let's see if we can't help here. We know that he's going to be able to do some damage. So we go ahead and aim for superstructure. We got to get rid of this will to rebuild, right? Our battleship buddy hits him. We take the shot into the superstructure. You can see the secondaries are doing damage. And, of course, we only land 2 shells. And, again, this is exactly what I'm talking about with just not having the accuracy or the consistency that I need in those moments. And this goes for a lot of different things, not just, you know, this one. But, unfortunately, our Izumo goes down. How he managed to get himself killed from full health in an Izumo is beyond me. He had to have gone broadside. That's the only way. Now here, this guy comes in. I'm in trouble. I knew I was dead here. Those shells were touching, but of course, we leave him with just enough to get away. Now the good news is they're not close enough to each other for will to rebuild, so if this destroyer wants, he can easily manage to shoot the guy's superstructure and kill him. But instead, he decides to go for the torps. And at this point, it doesn't matter what he does. All he has to do is survive. And if he manages to kill the battleship, great. But he doesn't have to do anything. We win on points. We have all 3 of the caps, but if we have 2 of them, we win. And we already have 2 of them. We have a 200-point lead. He does manage to sink the repub that was left. And that leaves 1 guy, and all this guy has to do is sail off into the sunset, and we win. But the guy's not going to sail off into the sunset because reasons. He wants to double back. Now, fortunately, there's only 50 seconds left, so there's only so much time for this guy to potentially throw this match if he wants to go back. There's no reason for him to. But we did manage to, before we die, take all of the health off of all the repubs. So we did our job. And so I really can't say anything bad about this ship other than the fact that it's just... The smokes are the good thing. Everything else is kind of meh. The guns, they're troll. They decide when you want to hit something, they decide not to. I mean, it's not that different from a lot of other battleships, but it's just not my favorite. If I had to choose one of these two ships, the Marlborough or the Marco, I would personally choose the Marlborough. I think in more situations, the Marlborough's ability to do damage consistently throughout the match is going to come in handy versus the, potential damage that you can get with the Marco. But 3,000 base XP, you guys seen it. I mean, it's a solid game. We were in the middle of the map the entire time. We were in the fight for the majority of the match. The smokes allowed us to do what we needed to do to disengage when we wanted to allow us to set up other shot opportunities. And that's something that a lot of battleships don't have. So for that, I do like the Marco. And that's where the problem lies. If I had to choose, personally, I would choose Marlborough. But I personally think that both of these are fully capable of being fun ships for you to play. And no matter which one you choose, you're going to have a good time, I think. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. And if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.